Hey guys, in today's video we're going to be learning how to make a bow for the dress, so keep on watching. So to make this bow, we are going to be needing two set of fabric. So we're going to be needing a square piece fabric and a rectangular piece fabric. So in this video I'm making use of a Mikado fabric. So we are working with 24 inches by 21 inches for the square part of the fabric. Okay, so I'm making use of 21 inch by 24 inches of square, and you are going to be cutting it on a fold. That way we are going to be making use of 48 inches by 21, if you get me. So it's like a rectangular piece of fabric that we fold into to make it a square. Okay, now for the rectangular piece of the fabric, we're going to be working with a width of 7.5 inch on fold, which is 15 inches in total. Okay, so we're going to make use of 7.5 inch, and then we are going to have a length, we're having a length of 59 inches. So that is the full length of the Mikado fabric, so that's what we're going to be making use of. So we've had the measurements of our two pieces of fabric. Right now we're going to go ahead and sew. So you can see my hand placement there. So you're sewing from that top there to the center of that rectangle. So you're going to stop like half inch to 2 inches away from the center piece of the rectangle. Okay, you can see you also do the same thing for the other side, and then you are sewing to the center piece of the rectangle, but then you're going to give it about 2 inches or 2.5 or 3 inches gap there where you're going to stop your seam. Okay, now moving on to the square piece of the fabric we're going to be making use of. You're also going to go ahead and make sure it's on fold, take note of that. So we're going to go ahead and sew on this end of the fabric. So on one end you're going to be sewing with half an inch. Okay, you can see the directions of my hand. I'm showing you guys where you'll be sewing. So you're sewing half an inch to the center. So you are going to be sewing about half an inch or 1.5 inch away from the center. You can see where my hand is, right? So you're going to be sewing like that, leaving the center open so that you can be able to turn over your fabric. So now I've gone ahead to do that for the square piece of the fabric. You're also going to be using your crinoline to sew on that half inch seam. You're not sewing away, you're not sewing inside, you're sewing on your half inch seam. That is to keep the tip or the edges of the bow firm without having to use paper gum, cloth gum, or whatsoever it is to keep your bow sturdy. So I made use of my crinoline and it worked really fine for me. Okay, so you just sew your crinoline on the half inch seam that you have. So you make sure you close both ends of your crinoline so they don't poke out of the bow. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and sew right on that half inch, and then we'll turn it over and I'll come back and show you guys what to do next. So moving over to the rectangular piece, so I already turned it over, and then you can see I'm going to show you at the center. I was looking for where the opening was. Okay, so this is the opening we have here. So that is the point I used to turn over my rectangular piece. Now you're going to go to your machine and top stitch on that rectangular piece. Now I've also gone ahead to sew in the crinoline on the other end and turn it over also. Then I'll also go ahead to go to my machine, and then I'll top stitch on that opening. Okay, that opening is also going to help us to know the center piece of our bow. So after top stitching, I'm just going to go ahead and gather the bow with my hand like this. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and use needle and thread, and then thread the center of this bow, right? So you're just going to gather it like this and use needle and thread. I didn't use my sewing machine. I felt it was too bulky for my sewing machine to go on it. So this is what the bow is looking like, really beautiful. So just go ahead and use the needle and thread to go ahead and stitch that up so it stays in place. Next, another piece of fabric we're going to be using for this bow is another square. So this square is 5 by 5. Okay, so now we have the 5 by 5 square. Now we're going to go ahead and sew half an inch or quarter of an inch, and then after sewing we'll turn over. So here I already went ahead to use my needle and thread and stitch up my bow, and this is what it's looking like. Very pretty and very neat. Yeah, I've gone ahead to stitch it. Now we're going to go ahead and use, this is where we're going to be making use of that tiny rectangular piece that we cut earlier. So I went ahead and I turned it over to the front and ironed the seam in the middle. That way we have a neat front piece. Okay, so now we are going to take the bow and then you're going to be placing this tiny rectangle that we have, but you'll be placing the right side, which is this smooth side. You're going to be placing it down facing the bow. Okay, that way the wrong side is where it's facing up, right? And now you're just going to join both sides together and you're going to go ahead and sew that up on your sewing machine. So this is what it's looking like. Now you're going to go ahead and turn it over, right, so that you would hide the seam there, and then the front will be looking neat. So we're just going to go ahead and turn this over, and then you see what the piece, what it's looking like. This is what the bow is looking like after we've turned over that center piece of the bow. Now you're going to take this rectangle piece. Remember we top stitched at the center, so take note of that. That's what is going to help us know which part of the rectangle piece is the center. Now you can see where the seam of this center rectangle is. You are going to insert the tail of your bow, let's call it that. Okay, so you're going to insert it there. You can see what I just did, right? And now you're going to take note of the parts where you notched. You can see where I'm showing you. That is the place that should be hidden inside that place. So this is what we have here. So this is your beautiful bow. It's really easy. It's not time consuming at all. Yeah, so here we have the tail of the bow. Now what we want to do now is hook this up to our dress. So I'm making use of this hook and eye, right? You can make use of snap buttons, whatever you want to make use of, but I felt this hook and eye will hide it very well on my dress, because I don't want it to show on the dress, because I don't want to be wearing the bow on the dress all the time. I want it to be detachable, right? So we are going to get the dress now, and then we're going to attach one part of the hook and eye. The tutorial of this dress is already up, both the drafting and the sewing of this dress, so make sure you go check it out. So this part of the hook and eye, the flat piece, that's the one we'll be attaching to the dress. Okay, so now I'm going to open up the zip. So you can see on the dress we have a waistline there. That is where you want to attach your hook and eye to. The eye, yeah, so that's the eye. The hook is what we are going to be attaching to the bow. Okay, so we are going to get your seam ripper, and you'll be ripping off the seam at the waistline there where you want to attach the eye, right? So there we have a small opening. Okay, really small opening, enough to fit in that eye. So you are going to be placing it in between your fabric and your zip, right, just like the way I have here. And then I'll go ahead and use my needle and thread and sew that to hold it in place. So I'm just making sure that it's in place. Make sure you're sewing it into the hole of the eye so that you don't skip it one bit and it's not sturdy. So we're just going to go ahead and sew that up on the dress. Right here we've attached the eye completely and it looks very seamless, very hard to notice. You can decide to attach this on both sides of the waist, but I decided to attach on one side. I think two sides is better, that way it holds your bow really firm. So now we are going to go ahead and decide and mark where we want the hook to be on the bow so that they align well and it is centered. So I'm just going to be attaching my hook to the eye, and then I'll be getting a marker and placing my bow on the hook just to match it and make sure it's in the center there, right? So I'm just going to mark that point with a black marker. I use the black marker because it will make it very visible. So that's where we have that. Now I'm going to go ahead and take out the hook and needle it in to the bow, and there we have it, guys. Yeah, really easy. Thank you guys so much for watching. We've come to the end of the video. I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye.